Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to today's session on assessment and its vital role in education. Assessment is the process of evaluating students' learning to measure their knowledge, skills, and understanding. It's essential for informed instructions, enhanced student motivation, and evaluating the effectiveness of any program. By the end of the session, participants will be able to define assessment, describe its importance, identify its types and purposes, discuss one of the most universally applied models, and reflect on their current teaching practices in the light of research findings. This session walks you through the unit number 1 of our training manual, Assessment, its importance and purposes. The subject topics are as flashed. Assessment is not just a one time activity, but a comprehensive and systematic process aimed at measuring students' learning. It involves several key stages that work together to ensure a thorough evaluation. Let's break it down. Number 1, planning. This is basically the initial step where we identify what we need to assess and set clear objectives. Developing. In this stage, we create the assessment tools such as tests, assignments, or observation checklists. Collecting. This stage helps to gather data from the students using the developed instruments. Analyzing. At this stage, we analyze the collecting data to interpret the results and understand students' learning achievements. The final stage, reporting. It involves sharing the results with students, parents, and other stakeholders. Types of assessment. Assessment is an important process in any learning system and can take various forms to gauge student progress. In the classroom, assessment is generally divided into 3 types: assessment for learning, assessment of learning, assessment as learning. First, assessment for learning. It is ongoing, formative evaluation that inform instruction and guide student growth. Second, assessment of learning. Basically, a form of summative evaluation. It is viewed as milestones measuring student achievement at a particular point. And third, assessment as learning. Students reflect on their own learning, setting goals, and taking ownership of their progress. These interconnected approaches underscore the strong relationship between teaching, learning, and assessment. By implementing assessment effectively, we support and enhance learner progress and achievement. These assessments serve distinct purposes. First, diagnostic. It informs instruction and adjusts student learning. Basically, it is pre assessment. Sometimes we call it interim between formative and summative evaluation. Formative assessment, it guides instruction and promotes student growth. It is an ongoing process. Summative evaluation, it provides accountability at the end. By understanding the purposes of assessment, teachers can create a balanced evaluation system that supports student success. This mind map basically tells us about all 3 types of assessment: diagnostic, formative, and summative. Diagnostic, basically, it helps us to understand students' needs when, in the start, between, and at the end of the learning. Why to use diagnostic? Get to know about learning needs of the students and how we can go for diagnostic assessment via planned practice to facilitate learning. Formative. It helps students to learn and practice. When to use this throughout the course? It basically identifies gaps and improve learning. How we can use formative assessment? Via approaches that support specific student needs. Summative assessment. It helps to assess student performance at the end of the instructional period. And why we use this assessment? Basically, to collect evidence of student knowledge, skill, or proficiency. How to use this assessment? Final learning product or the result, grade, or a number. To understand assessment further, first of all, we are going to discuss the coin metaphor. Life is like a coin with two sides, happiness and sorrow. Similarly, in education, we have two interconnected sides, curriculum and assessment. The coin's value lies in both its heads and tails. Curriculum and assessment are inseparable. They are two sides of the same educational coin. Imagine a coin with two interconnected faces, curriculum and assessment. The curriculum phase represents the foundational knowledge and skills, while the assessment phase evaluates student understanding and application. But what binds these two phases together? The edge, substantive synthesis projects. Here, students apply core conceptual knowledge and strategic processes to create personalized, meaningful learning experiences, foster life skills education. Basically, these skills integrate with both phases. They enhance and extend comprehension and application. As students navigate the edge, they transform knowledge into actionable insights, bridging the gap between understanding and real world application. To understand the relationship of curriculum and assessment further, we have another mind map for you. The curriculum is comprised of two fundamental components, core conceptual knowledge and strategic processes. Core conceptual knowledge provide the foundational concepts, principles, and facts that serve as the backbone of learning. Strategic processes, on the other hand, cultivate application through critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. And the edge, where students integrate life skills and the four C's. How do we measure student mastery? Through assessment, which basically evaluates their understanding and application of this comprehensive knowledge, ensuring they are equipped to succeed in an ever evolving world. So now we are able to know that curriculum and assessment are deeply connected. Curriculum represents the what, assessment represents the how, measuring student learning, understanding, and application. Understanding this coin metaphor helps us recognize curriculum informs assessment, and assessment evaluates curriculum effectiveness. Together, they ensure student learning and success. After understanding the connection between curriculum and assessment, now we are going to discuss the relationship between SLOs and assessment. First, we define the intended learning outcomes, which are SLOs. Then we choose instructional strategies, teaching learning activities which help to attain the outcomes. Next, the achievement of SLOs through assessment or examination to measure how well they are attained. Finally, we arrive at a final grade through evaluation. But the key to this process is alignment. Learning outcomes and assessment must be aligned for effective teaching learning. This ensures our instructional strategies and assessment are purposefully designed to achieve our intended SLOs. Command words tell the students that how to answer a specific exam question or complete an assessment task. Examples are on the slide. Assessment is at the heart of student experience, and a well defined assessment framework is essential for effective evaluation. The framework which we are going to discuss, that is Bloom's taxonomy, the taxonomy of educational objectives. It is developed by Benjamin Bloom in 1950s, known as one of the most universally applied models, means to express different kinds of thinking qualitatively. It is adapted for classroom planning tool, and Bloom's taxonomy provides a way to organize thinking skills into 6 levels, from the most basic to the higher order levels of thinking. It describes 6 levels of cognitive skills from basic to advanced. Bloom's taxonomy was revised in 1990s. The names of 6 major categories were changed from noun to verb forms as the taxonomy reflects different forms of thinking, and thinking is an active process. Verbs were more accurate. The subcategories were also replaced by verbs. Some subcategories were reorganized. The knowledge category was renamed, Knowledge is the product of thinking and was inappropriate to describe a category of thinking and was replaced with the word remembering instead. Comprehension became understanding and synthesis was renamed creating in order to better reflect the nature of the thinking described by each category. Revised taxonomy identifies changes in emphasis. It is considered as an authentic tool for curriculum planning, instructional delivery, and assessment. It aimed at a broader audience now and easily applied to all levels of schooling. Now, the most important part of this presentation that how to implement Bloom's taxonomy in routine teaching learning. First of all, lesson planning. Teachers to plan a well-structured lesson and post. They have to align SLOs with all elements of the lesson by using appropriate action verbs given in the Bloom's taxonomy. They have to design a comprehensive mind map of the lesson using a suitable web organizer or flowchart. Further, they have to develop activities that promote critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. So at the end, they have to prepare well framed questions to target specific levels. For example, recall, analysis, creation for all stages of the lesson. The next step, selection of suitable instructional strategies. The command words given in the Bloom's taxonomy help teachers to select and implement suitable instructional strategies in an effective manner. Teachers, they have to employ tailored instruction to accommodate diverse learning styles, auditory, visual, kinesthetic learning, by adopting differentiated instruction. Then, next, integration of technology, digital tools, LED, computer, smartboard, smartphone through flipped classroom. And then, focus on visualization of content and construction of ideas by using different mind maps. Basically, these all are to encourage discussion and problem solving through pair and group activities. This promotes collaborative learning in the classes. Teachers to monitor student progress at every stage of the lesson and adjust instruction accordingly. They have to go for formative assessment, assessment for learning side by side. This all basically is a model of student-centered teaching approach. Step number 3, classroom activities. Careful designing and implementation of activities promote critical thinking and cognitive growth. Some of the commonly used activities are KWL chart. A KWL chart is a graphic organizer that helps students relate their existing knowledge to a new topic by recording what they know, what they want to know, and what they learned. Brainstorming for quick idea generation, and think pair share for problem solving in pairs. Next, the jigsaw method. It encourages collaborative learning by dividing students into groups, while project based learning, it helps to apply concepts through projects, discussion, and debates. They allow students to analyze information logically and critically. Teachers to employ PBL for meaningful learning. It engages students in lesson related activities by asking open ended questions, connecting lessons to real world examples, and encouraging students to create mind maps, which foster their creativity and innovation. These strategies help students progress through Bloom's taxonomy. It promotes deeper understanding of the content. The last step, assessment and evaluation. Teachers to use authentic assessment by incorporating board practices in their routine teaching learning, so students they can apply their knowledge in practical context easily. Teachers they have to encourage students for self assessment. It will help students to track their own progress. Remember, students learn what they think they will be assessed on, what's in the curriculum. The trick is then to make sure the assessment tasks mirror what you intended them to learn. Assignment number 1 has been uploaded on the Google Classroom and submission date is 30th November. I will end my presentation by this Quranic verse. Glory to you. We have no knowledge except what you taught us. You, only you, are all knowing, all wise. Thank you very much for your attention.